Welcome back to another week of Wink Garage, everyone. Big going on this week. We've got Jimmy's Pulsar back. That had basically that left here partially because of room in the shed, but also Doug from Ample was building up a new motor for him. So that's just been finished up. Picked that up yesterday. So we'll get that out this week, chuck it up on the engine stand, have a bit of a look at it. Also the R34, a bit going on with this. Yeah, a bit of news to come about this. So anyway, I reckon we'll roll into the intro. We might get the Pulsar unloaded, unload the van of a bunch of Jimmy's gear. We'll crack on with another week. I actually also wouldn't mind trying to get a bit done with these knuckles for a bloke by the name of Sean, who's got a pretty stout R33 Skyline sports sedan, V8 as well. So might see what we can get done this week. That's kind of my goal. We'll get the Pulsar out. We'll start making a bit of a plan for that. I'll let you guys know what's happening with the 34, and yeah, we might even start making some chips on the mill. My brother and dad came up the other day and we just trammed the mill in. So that's all now set up again for nice and level. Just a job that fairly tedious, fairly boring, but needs to be done. So anyway, crack on.
Life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane, fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground.
Alright, just quickly going to interrupt this time lapse, but one thing I've seen a few mates have issues with and bits and pieces like that, and I've seen it over the years, is cutting threads. So we're just getting the engine on the engine stand. These here, I've got some just 10mm bolts in here, but these are hollow all the way through. They need about 150mm long bolt, which I don't have, so bit of all thread, that'll do. Now, I've cut it. Obviously, you'll normally struggle getting a nut onto that. What I do is on the linisher or flap disc, whatever you want to use, I go just at a slight 45-degree angle, which will take that off, and then just smooth it up. So I'll do this one and I'll show you, and yeah, see if I can kind of explain it on here. Now you can see you've got that 45-degree there, and then it leads into just a nice smaller diameter. I don't know if it's going to focus up. Smaller diameter which goes out larger. That'll be nice and easy to wind a thread onto. So this end here, I'll do this one next. 4 ends, nice quick clean up. I just wire wheel the threads so that the nuts will wind on there nice and easily. We'll get back in the time lapse.
Living life up in the fast lane. Life, though you limits, you just put them in Coronas. Coronas, Coronas. I've been working, I need that advance with the bonus. The bonus, the bonus. Ain't no thoughts about tomorrow, I'm just living in the moment. The moment, the moment. Full tank of gas and 200 on the dash, bitch, I'm zoning.
Alright, so we're all unloaded. Engine's out, bits are out. Now it's just time to kind of go through it all. So, CA18, built by Ample, Dougie. All the machining's been done once again by Milton. Kelford cams, spool, rods, ARP, everything. We've gone, put the Ross trigger kit on, Golby's adjustable cam gears. Next up, it's just going to be going through boxes of bits. Obviously, stock rods, stock cams, all that gear is going to go in the bin. But yeah, it should be a pretty stout package. Obviously, the car still has just a mock-up motor in it that I got ages ago. So plan for that is that it's going to go dry sumped. So with the mock-up motor, these sumps are a bit of a pain. Let me just rotate the motor around. The fact that the mains are part of the sump through here, front and back, mean that I can't easily make like a billet dry sump pan, similar to like what I run on the RB. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the stock tin pan and modify it, but that's not too bad. We've got to make obviously the mount for it. We've got the balancer. Yeah, I can see a balancer in here with a trigger wheel. So next up is just going to be going through everything. Boys at Ample are really good. They label everything really well. Full gaskets. I think some of this stuff is going to be double ups. What have we got here? Camshaft. Oh no, not Kelford. That's right. It's a Tomei cam. Ross balancer. What do we got? Goodies. I don't think we're going to need that, but so CP pistons. I'll put that aside. Yeah, so some of this stuff. Wow, look at that. Unfortunately, this motor was tuned by someone else here back in the day, and I believe it ate a couple of motors. Not entirely sure why, but some of the work that has been done on this is a bit questionable. So anyway, we'll keep going. Yeah, fun times. We'll unpack all this. I just want to kind of get an idea of what is here. It's all fairly well labelled, but labelled so I know what's happening. But let's just have a bit of a chat about this. So I've been working on it. We've actually managed to get the driver's side headers to line up. Cut a reasonable chunk out from the firewall into the floor to make it fit. So they actually do fit up, which I was kind of surprised about. Next step's getting the steering to work, but it's been 2 weeks with the engine sitting in the car, and I really haven't had a whole lot of enthusiasm or motivation about it, and haven't really been too sure why. Funnily enough, my dad and brother came up the other night, and they kind of probably pointed out the fact that maybe the reason I'm not too motivated is because it's not really my dream motor. The LS is, as I've spoken to a couple of people, is the smart choice. They make decent power. They're fairly reliable. It's just not me though. I got the phone call the other day from Sam at Milton's, saying that, yep, this nice crankshaft is junk. So number 5 journal we've cracked, I think, through here. So we weren't too sure if we'd cracked it. When I dropped it down there, he had a bit of a look and it had a bit of a mark on it, but he thought it might have just been residual kind of bearing material left over, like we smoked all the rods pretty good. So like that's number 5 rod, so she's seen a reasonable bit of heat. But yeah, once he linished it, it's toast. So that was kind of a bit of a nail in the coffin. Then Dougie reached out and reminded me that I had a 2.6 crank still sitting around that I've probably had for about 4 years now, but just completely forgotten about. So 2.6 crank is up there. I picked it up from the other day in that orange towel, so that's all wrapped up. So I think what's going to happen is I'm going to backpedal on myself. LS is going to come out. RB is going to get slowly built up with just a 2.6 stock crank. We'll do some rods, pistons, stock 2.6 crank with the girdle, dry sump, everything. Should make the same power what we made before with the 2.5 litre. And you know what? That's probably fine for now. It'll get me back out on track in a reasonable budget and time frame. And I love the RB. I don't think there's any better sound than an RB hitting a wastegate and taking off. So yeah, I know a few people were keen to see the LS in it, but that's where we're at. I don't love it. It's the smart choice, but I don't love it. And I think for all the hard days that you go through with race cars, you've really got to love them. So I think putting the LS in will probably just make me not motivated, which I've found in the past kind of 2 weeks. So anyway, we have a nice spool stroker crank here. I'll probably have to do something with that and make a table for out here, or yeah. So anyway, that's where the R34's at. LS will come out, go back on the stand, and yeah, we'll probably pull the RB out from the covers, start stripping it. I really want to go through and see if we can find a smoking gun, see why it's failed. This morning I actually just blew some air through number 5 rod journal. I was hoping maybe that something had come through here, blocked up, and that's why we didn't get oil, but that seems to be clear. I can blow air through it. So I don't really know what's happened, unfortunately. But yeah, anyway, I reckon pack some stuff away with Pulsar. Workshop's kind of fairly tidy, so I might just keep going with that. I do want to pull this motor out so that I can start making the dry sump pan for it. But I've got stuff stashed all around in different containers and that, so I just kind of need to collate everything and we'll get back into it.
I'm zoning, fast lane, living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane, life up in the fast lane, fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane. Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane.
So considering I'm not overly familiar with these engines, bit of figuring out to do, which is cool. This intake manifold was Jimmy's, so that shows us that obviously we've got a water, that's where the water will come out of the head. It's got the water neck on there. It has this big water pipe I'm gonna hazard a guess and say that once upon a time it was probably linked up to this water neck here, because there's two barbs coming off of it that are pretty toast, and maybe it connected up with the heat exchange on the oil filter, and then once upon a time would have connected up to a heater core. So hopefully we can get rid of that, because that's pretty toast. Everything on this water wise is like ridiculously corroded. That had popped through there. I don't know if it's standard, but someone's like brazed bits closed on it. I don't know if that was when it started getting used as a rally car back in the day, or if that's just how these are. You see a little pinhole there. I wonder how far this was from failing. Lovely noise. Been there before, they're not fun when they fail. So yeah, I think that engine out, flip it upside down, start having a look. I think all this stuff, I'm just going to give probably a fair bit of it just a wipe over. I've got a tub back there for the Pulsar bits. Get some of it in there. I need to pull the balancer mandrel out. I think Jimmy got one with his pump, maybe not, because I know we got a kit for ours, so it may not have come with one. So we may need a balancer or a mandrel for the balancer for the dry sump. All this stuff, we'll work it out. We'll work it out, we'll get there. But yeah, ticking along. All right, everything's tidied up. Jimmy's got his own little section of bits and pieces. Next up, I'm gonna get the intake manifold off, so I can kind of get better access. So we've got Jimmy's oil pump right here. I've got some alley, so I might just start making something up and we'll see what looks like it'll fit nicely down there. I do have the bracket from the power steering, so I can see where that bolted up to. I can see what bolt holes we've got. Pretty much the only bolt we've got, unfortunately, is this one on this side of the motor. So I'll probably run something off this and see maybe what height that's at, and whether we use these two bolts for the oil pump. I think that's probably going to be our best bet for mounting the oil pump. But I think first up, intake manifold off so we can see what we're working with down the back there for room, which I don't think we've got any issues. So get in.
And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane. Losing track of time, but it's always on my side. Hit the still to feel the vibe. On my mama, I'm so live. Popping bottles around 9, and them ladies about to slide. Hey, I'm just living life. I'm just living life. Hey, rolling. Don't know if I'm coming or I'm going home for the summer in Miami when it's snowing. Might just end up in your city, baby. You won't even know it. Might just find out from the ground while I'm posing with some grands. Hey, living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane, and I ain't slowing down.
All right, engine's out. One of the things that I wanted to do, obviously next up, is going to be doing the sump. So what I've done here is there's this little piece that kind of sticks up, but aside from that, I've run across the top of the two ARP bolts, and from the underside of the roller to the deck surface is 80 mil. So what I've done, obviously this sticks up here a little bit, but I can maybe remove that or just put like a little notch in the sump. What I've done, something a bit different, is I've set up this just cutting disc on an arbor in the mill, set it up to 90mm off the deck, and just kind of going to start cutting a bit of a line. Obviously here it's a little bit lower, so it's probably not going to cut too well. The blade's just going to try and lift up. But yeah, I've probably also got to cut these. Back in the day, obviously this was just something that whoever did to try and get a little bit more oil volume. There's a little thing here and that. I'll probably just cut that off with the Sawzall, so that, yeah, then we can go around. Seems to be working all right. Just a nice way of getting just an exact height cut off. Then I've got the other motor sitting on this bench, so I'll be able to bolt the sump down to this so that it can't twist or do anything funny, and from there I'll be able to make a flat sheet bottom for it, put in our 3 oil drains or pickups for the dry sump. We don't really have anything to contend with underneath the car positioning wise, so it would probably just be spaced out evenly, work out kind of what we've got bottom end wise to work around, but there's not a whole lot, so it should be all right. So yeah, I'll get to cutting this off. I think I've already spent probably an hour just giving the mill a bit of a clean up just so I could use it, but it's probably going to be a good video. Oh look, that's just a quick Scotch-Brite clean off, and then the whole rest of the mill needs it. When I was living up in Roxby, I wouldn't say didn't look after it too well, but if it got oily, I just left it. We were out in a pergola, so to have a bit of oil on it meant that it wasn't rusting up all the bedways and everything wasn't getting rusty. So there was a bit of a reason for leaving everything a bit grimy. Was like this here was nice and clean. I've Scotch-Brited that this morning, but it's just all surface rusty, so we'll get there. But for now, yeah, I'm just gonna cut this sump so I can get it bolted down, and we can keep trucking along. So
living life up in the fast lane. Yeah. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane.
alright, so cleaned up the sump, took off just the little tubs that were left over from the windage baffles and just kind of gave it a bit of a smooth off. Next step I reckon is going to be get some sheet metal, sit it down on the bench here, and we'll trace out our shape. Once that's done, flip it over, bolt it back down to the block, tuck, and start welding the baffle on. Not too bad dirty wise, but we'll give it a clean and make it all nice. It's not going to be overly nice to weld at the moment, so I'll probably end up, I've got a parts washing bath that once again hasn't been used for years. I think it's empty, so might little be a side quest to clean that up and get that all working, but might have to do that to clean this, so might be the next step, side quest. Alright, I reckon I'm going to wrap it up here for the week. Obviously got the sump for Jimmy's car cut up, cleaned up. That's in the parts washer, just soaking in degreaser. I don't have any steel for that at the moment, so I'll go chase that up. Had another job come in, so Toyota AE86, old school, real AE86, wide body. So that's come in. That's a job that's going to be molds and pull some carbon parts. So pretty keen for that. I also have the Janetta GT3 knuckles. Need to set these up to take a Nissan wheel bearing, and then play around with geometry and getting them to fit my R34 for another sports sedan guy, Sean, that's got an R33 who's kind of battling some similar suspension issues to myself. So let us know in the comments what you guys want to see next, and I'll prioritize things. Obviously, everything's got to get done. The suspension, it's a bigger job because that'll end up getting bolted up to the skyline. We'll use the lower control arm geometry and get all that happening, but we can design a new upper control arm. Obviously, molds and carbon, another big job, but Wade's done a lot of the work for me and having everything prepped and like all rubbed down and ready to rock and roll. So yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys want to see next, and I'll try and make some stuff priority. So cheers everyone, have a good one. Bye.